Welcome to the Audiobook Lovin Podcast, discussing all things audiobooks with the authors that write the stories and the narrators that perform them. Brought to you by Viviana, Enchantress of Books.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 21 of the Audiobook Lovin Podcast. Today, I am chatting with author Stella Andrews. Welcome, Stella, to the book podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And you're actually across the pond for us in the States. So thank you for picking the time.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So people that are listening, this is actually her real accent. This is not anything put on or anything, or a narrator. No, she's an author. So just in case the question comes up. Sometimes it's like, well, we didn't know she was, fill in the blank, British. I've had one too that's like, I didn't know she was Aussie. I'm like, no, now you do.
I do get confused for Australian sometimes.
They're similar sometimes, I think, and sometimes it's the cadence. I believe it can be a bit misconceived, or what we are known what the accent should be or would be like based on what we watch on TV. So that sometimes could be not correct, as we have learned and discovered, right? Why don't we start by having you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been writing, and how you got started?
Well, I started writing by chance, really. I never thought I wanted to be an author. And I was at work, and we had one of those motivational speakers one day. And he would basically, the only thing that really impressed me was that he'd written a book. And he gave us all this book, and and he spoke a bit about it and how he'd done it. And for some reason, I just fixated on that. And I downloaded lots of audiobooks about how to write a book and how to go about it. And it just scrambled my mind. And so I just sat down and I thought, well, I'll write something in Word. And I did. And it was rubbish, obviously. So it's not out there. But I just sort of really got into it that way. And I never tried to be traditionally published. And I just sort of went down the self-publishing route. And the rest is history, really. I'm one of those people that get obsessed. And I just became obsessed with it. And I just took it one step at a time. And I sort of learned the business, and then I read lots of books, and then I found what I enjoyed the most, which was dark romance, believe it or not. So that's where I seem comfortable on the dark side. So that was it, really.
Yeah. And if you write contemporary romance, and now even that used to be the subgenre of romance on its own. Usually contemporary meaning it could be anything set in real life as far as our timeline goes. And now we have all these they're actual tropes, but sometimes they'll be kind of looped in the same conversation as if it's a subgenre of either the sunshine grumpy sunshine, dark romance is one of them, the firefighter, the sports, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
When you started realizing that you wanted to write and you're doing that research and you were doing a lot of reading, what books were you reading? Were you doing romance? Were it kind of other things? And if it was romance, what type of romance?
I started reading I think I just sort of went towards contemporary romance, and I just sort of, I don't know, I think what it was, I suppose like most people, I read 50 Shades of Grey, and I thought, because of the hype, and I thought, well, why did I like that? It was just like shocked me a bit. I thought, goodness, I really enjoyed that book. And so I looked for more books like that. And then I suppose it just took me down that journey. And despite sort of the subject of that book, I did my actual newsletter free book is similar to that, but I've sort of gone away from that a bit. And my books are a bit more, they're sort of dark, they're mafia, they're MC, they're sort of like heroes that are anti-heroes, really. They're the sorts of guys that you shouldn't want, but you do. And they are just they're not wicked or horrible, but they are to everybody else. But the person they fall in love with becomes a love story. And I think that's what I wanted more than anything. It was the love story with the darkness and the heavy, the hard beginning, so to speak.
Yeah.
The suspense. I love the suspense, and I love nothing more than weaving a story that people don't know where it's going, and they are surprised by it. So that's the sort of books I like. I like something that surprises me, that's not going to be predictable. I definitely get bored if I read something that I think, oh, really? I knew that was going to happen in the first chapter. So I try really hard to surprise my readers. And so, yeah, there's lots of dark elements in there. There's a lot of emotion, and there's a lot of story. And that's what my sort of blueprint that I stick to.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think sometimes when people first start reading romance and they started with the 50 Shades of Grey, I think sometimes they believe that that's all that it is. And I'm like, no. There's a lot more to the romance genre. And there's so many books out there that are, in my eyes, a lot better written specifically when it comes down to the kink of the BDSM books, specifically in that one. But then when people discover, they're like, oh wow. But I've also noticed the trend of starting with something like a BDSM book and realizing maybe that's not so much, but I like the darkness of what some of those elements included on that emotional side. And then they've transformed and moved over to dark romance. And I'm going, oh, okay, so there's so you're not into the whips and chains. Got it.
Yeah. I didn't really want to be writing erotica or anything like that. I wanted to be writing romance, and it had to have feelings in it, and they had to be loyal, and they had to just fall totally in love with that person. But obviously you don't want that at the beginning. So it does have those darker elements at the beginning, but like I say, the plot for me is key, really. The actual story surrounding it is the most important thing to me, and the emotion of it.
But that's also what makes it a dark romance versus an erotica. I think sometimes now also they have been using the term smut because Amazon does not like the word erotica from a tag perspective, and will basically just cover up your books and not show it to anybody that's maybe looking for it. And so that people have been using the term smut, but that's erotica tends to be more about the sex, and the characters are secondary to maybe fourth, and then there's real no plot. The sex drives the story versus erotic romance, where the story drives is the driven, and then the sex just happens to be a lot heavier and sexier and more into it. Yeah,
I suppose some of my books, they don't actually get together for several chapters, sometimes halfway through. So it's sort of a build-up.
Slow burn.
It's that build-up. It's that sort of like, will they, won't they, or what's going to happen? And I just quite like that.
Yeah.
And hopefully I do it okay.
Well, I have shared with some of my friends on social media, hey, I'm going to be talking to Stella, and they're like, ooh, Stella. I'm like, okay. Yeah, and it's great when people discover a new author, or they love an author and they're helping you discover them, right? I think it's just some of that energy that's there. But I think too, I like that's a bit of that slow burn, that suspense of, they're going to have a happily ever after. Okay, maybe not in the first book if you're doing some form of a trilogy where the arc goes over all the books. But you eventually know there's going to be an HEA, as it should be, because it's romance. But how they get there is always the best part of the journey. And kind of wondering, is it going to be here? Oh, okay, no, it's not going to be here. Is it going to be when they go on that vacation? Oh, no, okay, it's not going to be there. Oh, look, they're stuck. Got it. Okay. Now what will happen? Oh, fuck, damn it, author, come on.
Actually, the last series I wrote that I've just finished was the first series that I actually wrote with almost cliffhangers. That there was each story was about one of the guys that starts off. There's 5 of them, and each story is about them. But there's another story that runs through the whole of the series, and you only find out in the very last book what that story ends like. And it's the first time I've ever done that. I was a bit nervous because I know people don't like cliffhangers. And even though each story was wrapped up regarding the couple, it wasn't in the story. So that was quite interesting.
But I think a lot of us are like, okay, to the couple, as long as we get that couple from that book overall in that closing with no cliffhangers, we're okay.
Yeah.
It's the overarching arc of where is this going? As long as also the books are not coming out every 3 years, we're okay.
No, I write fast. I do write fast.
Yeah. And some people may like, okay, well, this is going to be one of those, so I'll wait until the last book is almost done or about to be published and starts. And then they'll continue with other books from that same author. But it's just, I know a couple other authors. I know Joanna Jones, Paranormal, her name, the series was Charlie Davison. Each book was almost like an episode, like of watching a sitcom of sorts. And but there was an overarching story, and that was like 12 or 13 books.
Yeah.
And we still got the dun 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 moments, but we knew what was going on in that book was done. Like, all right, next. Yeah. It's like watching TV. We always knew there was going to be another one at 7:00 the next day. We can wait.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think people like that. It's actually, from an author's point of view, it's actually really good to write a series as such, because the characters develop over that time and it's easier to write. They become almost like you know them, and you know that, and sort of their thoughts and their characters. And so actually to write series is easier, I think, than starting again and having to rethink a whole new world, so to speak, which is interesting. You've got to stop it at some point. But a lot of my series, they connect. They pop up in another book somewhere, and people say, oh, yes. I like him. He can stay in this book. But the danger is people don't want them to stop, and you feel, oh, maybe I'll do another one, and then you think, well, that story's done. I've got another series now. So it's finding a balance, I think.
And that is such a great point too, because we as readers, we always want more. We want to know what happens next. What happens? Oh, they're going to have children. Okay, we want their stories.
Yeah,
and that's fantastic. You as an author want us to be this involved and enamored with everything. But I also have seen it where you kind of want to send the notes to the author saying, "Girl, I love you, but your cow is done being milked."
Yeah.
The cash cow is done. Can we do another story, even if it's a spin-off with the kids, but have it be completely a different series of sorts? So I like it when authors kind of have that. Okay, this is the 5 books in your case for the Kings. Everybody else, there's another story coming on. So for me, it's about trusting the author. Like, okay, fine, you're gonna give me the Dark Mafia today, and tomorrow you want to write about cupcakes. Okay, sure, cupcakes it is. All right, give me what it is, Stella. Cupcakes, got it. All right.
There are ways though that you can make people happy with that, like with the 5 Kings that you just mentioned. That actually is a series born out of my MC series, and that started there. It then leads you into another series, the Club Mafia series, and there's bonus books in that. There's spin-off books in the 5 Kings. So they are all connected. And I've just started, and it's working really well, to give bonus books at the end, just sort of like to give something back, I suppose, to the reader, to say, well, here you go. You want to find out what happened to this person, here you go. So that works well too. So you can always go back and you can always write something about them. The end is always the end.
Well, I think sometimes we think these characters as potentially real people. I'm like, well, sooner or later they're going to have dinner together. What is that like?
Yeah.
Family Thanksgiving scene.
Gosh, imagine my Thanksgivings with the characters I write.
Well, maybe you'll do us a solid and give us what that would look like, even if it's no, we're not going to continue this one, but this is the start of it. Yeah, I can imagine. Like, why are we having Thanksgiving in a nice, very nice lodge, cabin kind of sort of lodge, but in the middle of the woods with, okay. Or on the skyscraper on the tallest. Okay, yeah, great. Where no one else can find us.
I did a Christmas one once. It was actually just a standalone, totally different to what I normally write. It was a dare I say it, rom-com. And I know, goodness. And
I did say cupcakes. I mean, it's technically wrong.
That was my cupcake. And I just wrote it. It was just a Christmas one. It was something light, something fun. And I enjoyed it, but it just wasn't for me. I tried it, and it was fun, but that was it. I like the dark romance.
Yeah, and that's okay. Some of us like it dark, and some of us can drive around in different genres and little subplots there, and then just kind of go back and forth. So that's great. Knowing that you now wrote this potential rom-com, and now also saying that not for you, is there a genre out there that you're kind of going, but maybe this other genre that you would kind of curious about writing in?
I think not at the moment, no. Not that. Obviously you see lots of books, and I read lots of books as well, and not necessarily, well, very few actually in the dark romance. I don't tend to read many, and the reason for that is because I don't want to mirror them. I don't want them in my head, because I want my stories to be unique. And so I don't tend to read many. So, but I do quite like, even though I'm British, I like all the college romances, and I love all that. And the MC, obviously, I started off reading Bella Jewell. I loved her books. I just thought they were amazing. And I do read a lot of the sort of, like the sort of college romance. I do. I've just actually one series that I read that I really enjoyed was Kings of Lockdown by Caroline Packham and Suzanne Valenti, and I really enjoyed that. But that's quite dark again. It is very similar to what I write, but again, it was that college thing. So I suppose that's where I got the idea for my Mafia one, Club Mafia, The Contract, because that's set at college. But being British, I don't really know how it works. So you have to excuse inaccuracies in some of it. I try to keep it very general, but I do like that. I suppose thrillers is quite good. A nice dark thriller would be good. But no, I don't think I'm going to stay where I am at the moment. As they say, stay in your lane.
Well, I mean, it's always nice to sometimes see about potentially, like maybe one day. That whole, dark thriller is always one that I think a lot of the authors that I've spoken with have always said, and maybe a horror or some form of a thriller.
No, I would not do a horror. I'm one of those people that I cannot watch them. I just can't. I absolutely could not watch a horror.
Oh.
But I could do a thriller, and again, it would be down to the sort of clever plot, something that perhaps people weren't expecting. But yeah, I think I'll do a thriller one day.
Okay, I'll have to watch out for that. Where do you get your ideas for your stories?
Goodness, it just could take one word. It could take a lot of my stories lead on from the last ones. So I normally set it up in the final book of one series, and it's normally a character from that. And most of the time, I don't plot my books. I never have done. And I sit down and I think, what am I going to write? And then I'll just put, I'd like to start with the chapter to be quite sort of dramatic. So I try and think of that. And obviously I have an idea what I want to write, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what's going to happen at the end of any book when I start it. It just sort of evolves. So, and I don't have anything plotting. I just don't plot. And if I've tried to in the past, I thought, right, at this time I'm going to be professional and I'm going to write it all down and I'm going to do it exactly right. It's a completely different book at the end of it to what I thought it was going to be. I think a lot of people will relate to that, right.
Oh, yeah.
The characters just have a habit of evolving, and like life, things happen in the book that you think, oh yeah, that would be better if that happened. Or you sort of try and think, how can I make this really twisty, and how can I make this surprising, and which one of my characters from previous books could actually jump in now. So yeah, I just literally sit down with a blank page and just start. And when I read it back, I think, did I write that? Sometimes I forget. It's like it just sort of takes over. It's a bit creepy.
Yeah. Well, a lot of authors have said that the characters speak to them and they kind of take over sometimes part of that writing process, or they're like that annoying friend that's sitting behind you, like, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done yet?
Yeah.
Are you ready? It's my turn, girl. It's my turn. So many different things. And it's funny that you I think we have this idea, right, of what quote unquote professional writing should look like. And having that whole, it's plotted, you know what's exactly what's going to happen. You're just writing the in-betweens to make it done. And there's so many different ways to do it. We have basically the two types of the plotter, which is perfectly fine, and also the pantser, which there is no rhyme or reason to your work. It just flows.
It's a bit crazy, but I like that. I like not knowing. Sometimes I'll get up in the morning and I'll think, I just can't wait to get back to it because I want to see what happens. It's just like, I suppose I'm like a reader when I write.
Yes. I was going to say that it's a lot like being one of us. We will say, though, at least for me anyways, and I think a few of my friends, when you guys get excited about the story that you're writing, we get even more excited and we know it's going to be good.
But you've got to be excited to keep you going. It's actually good that no one can see me when I write, because so many times, floods of tears if I've done something, I've built it up so much, and then when we finally get there, I'm just like a wreck. It's so bizarre. Writing is brilliant. You can just sort of let your imagination run wild. Sometimes it concerns me how dark my imagination is. I've had a very weird character in my Club Mafia one. I don't know where he came from, and he was shocked, even me. But people seemed to like it, so I just carried on, and he got worse. He actually got really, really worse, and I like to think he got what he deserved at the end. But sometimes I think, should I tone it down a bit? It's just a little bit too out there. But no, I think the characters just sort of do their own thing half the time.
Yeah, and if you try to control what that looks like, it changes a lot of things, from the feel of the story to what they would have done. And I think readers can sometimes tell when you've been holding back or trying to hold back, especially when it comes down to the darker or more emotional scenes.
Yeah, I don't want to water it down. I think if you do, then it becomes forgettable. And I think a book shouldn't be forgettable. It should be something that sticks with you after you've turned that last page and you think, oh yeah, what have I just read? And you remember it.
So you were sharing with us how sometimes you get really emotional and you're crying and you're like, oh, thank God no one's watching me. When it comes down to writing the different scenes of the book, do you have a favorite type of scene to write? Where that first moment that they meet, whether it's that first moment when it's gonna happen now, or what's your favorite type of scene to write?
I think I like the drama. I like anything with drama in. I like stacking it up. I like lining up my soldiers, and I love it at the end when I knock them all down and it all comes together. And I think that's the part that I really like. It's when, because I don't know, like I said, where it's going from the beginning. And at the end, when it's all happened, and it's all worked really well together. I think that's the point that I'm happiest. I just think, oh God, thank God, it's worked out. And because you can start writing a chapter and you think, where is this going? I don't even know where this is going. And it's pulling that back and pulling it into the book. But regarding what I like writing the most, I like writing the dialogue between the characters. I like writing about their emotions. And that's probably why I cry all the time. Because you do have to put yourselves in their minds. Yeah, and I just love the intrigue. I love a bit of intrigue. So I just like it all.
Yeah. So what about the
I like it all.
Cop out. No, it's okay. I understand the feeling, and it's difficult when you do love the process to pinpoint that one that you love the most or the one that would stand out. I think it might even change, right, with each book that you write.
I just had this thing, yeah, definitely, because I just want each book to be better than the last. It's always, well, especially with a series, because you've got to make your first one really good in order to make people want to read the next one. And then I just want the last book to be the best book. So it's sort of like walking up a staircase. You sort of start at the bottom and it's just getting better and better the further up you go. That's my aim. I'm not sure that I achieve that, but it's my aim.
Yeah. I was talking about using the stairs as an example. At the shop that I work on the weekends, it's the flight of stairs, and it really at an interesting incline, which means you're going to be even more out of breath at the top, no matter how good of a shape you are or not.
Yeah.
But it is so that moment of I'm done with that last step. Or as you or the more that you do it, you're like, oh, okay, I was not that out of breath this time. Yay.
Yeah. We want a steep one.
Yeah. On the flip side, though, are there any themes that when it comes down to the stories that you're like, oh goodness, I have to write this one that's just a little bit more difficult for you, whether it's because of the topics or the type of scene, maybe the sex. I know a lot of authors bust out with the sex scenes are really difficult for me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. It's very difficult, actually. When I first made that decision after the 50 Shades trilogy, I thought, gosh, I don't think I can do this. So I listened to a podcast on how to write erotica. And it was quite interesting how the first thing she said were all those words that you sort of whisper to yourself. And she was saying them all out loud and said, come on, everyone say these words out loud. And it was sort of like normalizing it and taking away the sort of like shame of it, I suppose. But after the first one, you just sort of get in. It's just a process, writing it and using the words. You're trying to think, well, what's the best word I can use here? And I don't want to use that one again because I've just used it there. And, so the more words you know, the better. I do swear a lot in my books, and I actually don't swear. I've
noticed.
No, I don't. I don't swear day to day. And yet in my books, I'm potty mouth. I really am. I just love it. I can do what I like. My characters just love swearing.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's a little bit also liberating, isn't it? I would think.
Yeah, definitely. It is good because I can literally write. I can be this different person to what I am, and I really love that. Luckily, none of my family have read these books. Well, I don't think they have anyway.
Oh my goodness, that's definitely a conversation that I've had with the authors and even with some of the narrators that I've spoken with that are more low key about yes, I write books, but they may not provide so many details as to what type of book they're writing. And I think because also romance gets such a negative connotation out there as not real books, that sometimes the authors are like, yeah, but then there's other authors that are busting it out there saying, this is what I write, and if you don't like it, tough shit.
Yeah.
And they're happy when a family member comes to them and say, oh my God, I love chapter 12. And I'm going, that's the sex scene. Okay. Yeah, great.
Yeah. Oh, it's not me. I must say, my sister does read them though. She loves reading this sort of category of book anyway. It's her thing. So it's always good to have somebody else's opinion. And so she reads a lot more than me. And she'll tell me, oh, you must read this person or that person, and they're really good. And I don't actually have a lot of time to read. I do try, because I think you need to, but I don't have a lot of time. And like I said, I don't want to be influenced by anyone else's books either. So I'll read on holiday, vacation, I should say. That's the other thing that is quite interesting. I try and write as if I'm American in my books, and so it probably doesn't come across that way. But I do try to appeal more to US English. I've got that selected in my grammar check thing. And I do my American spelling. I do all of that because I think people do expect that for this sort of dark romance category more, which is quite interesting. I'm trying to train myself to be an American, basically.
But it's so funny because we will read the book and have it be a British character, and I've read some of the reviews that would say things like, that's not how the British slang works, and this and that, and then same thing vice versa. We've had some British authors try to do the American.
And I've had a few of those. This author is obviously British. Oh, here I am, but
that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I try. I think I get better each time. But I did write one of my books set in London, and it was brutally British, and it was actually really enjoyable to write because my whole family sort of came from London, and it was nice to be able to use the phrases that I grew up with, and and so I think that book is probably the truest book of mine. So again, I'm terrible at this. I haven't written the second one of that. I sort of go off on another series, and so many people want the second book. So I might well do that this year. It'd be quite nice to go back and do that.
Yeah, I find it that when you are writing it and from a dialogue perspective or a dialect, because it's still, I mean, we all speak English, but the dialect changes because of where you're from. There is a lot more of you in it when you are writing from your experiences. And I love learning new slang. For a while there, I was reading a bunch of British books and I was like, bloody hell.
Yes.
You're such a winker.
Yes. Yeah. It is quite fun. Yeah. You do. You sort of write. It's a different swear word, isn't it? Over
yeah. Oh, I love any kind. Yeah. I don't discriminate. Being bilingual also helps with that. I can bust out with it in Spanish, in English, different types of dialects. But when there's those that are specific, like a British slang or a curse word, or there's one for Scottish and Irish and Aussie, all that fun stuff. I'm like, well, what are they? How can I creatively use this and technically not get in trouble?
Yes. and also there's lots of different words for that mean different things in each country, and so that's quite interesting, trying to find those ones out.
Oh yeah. Again, the bilingualness, the different Spanish dialects, where the word straw means straw in one country and completely not a straw, more of a sexual body parts in another, is can get yourself in trouble in your household. But I think it's, again, those readers love the whole British thing, especially the Americans, I think, because it's so exotic to us, right?
I think everybody likes what's different.
Yes.
It's just the thing. I would just love to live in America. I would love it. Florida is my spiritual home. I want to live there. And if I could, I would.
You want to
Yes.
trade for like 4 or 5 months? I go live where you're at. You
do
can
that
live here in
holiday
Florida.
thing.
Yeah. You can totally do
I
like
do
be
that.
the movie of the holiday.
Yeah, we'll
I
do
live in
that.
Florida. I live in Orlando. You're smack in the middle.
I'm coming to it. I go to Orlando every year. It is a religion for me. I have to go. And the Keys, I love the Keys. I just, if I don't, I actually went twice last year because of COVID. I missed a couple of years.
So you were catching up?
I was catching up. I just have to go.
It's interesting how we can get very much like not impressed. I mean, I know Florida has a lot of issues from a state's perspective, politics and other things. And we do literally, it's a meme for fuck's sakes. Sometimes the weirdness stuff that happens here with people, but there is such a beauty to this state on the environment side of things.
Yeah.
That as a native, sometimes we forget that it's there because we're so used to it. Like going to the Keys was, especially if they're not all the way down to the Keys, because that is a 4-hour drive even from Miami, which is where I was born and raised. But even going that south and getting to that first key was sometimes a field trip in school, or going to the Everglades was another field trip. St. Augustine, another field trip. So we were kind of like, I think we kind of get a little bit disassociated how wonderful environmentally we are as a state. We have such different things. And I also love it when people are like, oh my God, the Keys. And I'm thinking it's a 4-hour fucking drive in water.
Yeah. Oh, I love the Keys. It's like something
it's relaxing.
It's a bit of madness, isn't
Yes.
it? It's just really lovely.
We have our own Mardi Gras sort of thing there too. So it's just depending on when you land and when you come, it's definitely a different scene.
Yeah.
It's party for sure if you're into that stuff.
Well, I just like it because in America it's very difficult to walk anywhere. Everywhere you drive, and but the Keys you don't. You park your car and you just walk everywhere, and I like that. And I like the houses. I like the streets. I just love it all. And it was quite funny because my daughter is a real Disney fanatic. She loves Disney, and we went to the Keys and I said, oh, look at this. It's so lovely. She said, it's dirty Disney.
Never heard it described that way before, but I might use it.
Disney. It was dirty Disney. And it made me laugh because it's probably true, because I think we were walking past a particular kind of shop establishment at that time that had their menu outside, and the women were sitting outside on the porch, and well, I suppose it is dirty Disney really, but it's just so lovely. I just really like it, and my husband's really into boats and stuff, so he adores it, and but we're just fortunate that we can go every year.
So yeah, we'll have to, next time that you're coming down, let me know, see if I can find some good places for you to check out here that are not very touristy, but are still like, moments, right?
Yeah, it's just being there. That's enough for me.
Well, like I said, the offer's open if you ever want to do the whole holiday swap.
Yes.
I've been dying to go across the pond, have yet to do it. It's on my to-do list. No. So I haven't had the opportunity, but also I will admit it's a little scary. Like I've only traveled in the States and not really across any huge body of water.
Across the Atlantic,
and it's funny, we're like across the pond, and it's like, no, that's not a pond, that's a huge
that's an 8-hour pond. No, it's fine. It's like everything. Once you do it it takes away the fear, and then you get obsessed.
Well, I have that feeling too, that if once I do it and I realize it's not that big of a deal and then I survived.
Oh, you would.
And it'll become like, ooh, when did I do it next? Kind of like my Savannah trips to Savannah, Georgia have become a nice escape. And that's another, if you like walking around and having that small town, everything's within walking distance, Savannah, Georgia is definitely a place for you that you may want to look into doing. Oh, it's only 4 hours from Orlando. So if it's one of those longer trips,
that's being written down now.
Yeah, it's definitely a different feel, and it's quiet, but there's this energy about Savannah that is just could be very relaxing at the same time re-energizing all at once. So
Yeah.
yeah. But speaking about traveling to the States, aside from coming to Florida, you're going to Denver this year
I
for Readers Take
know.
Denver. How exciting is that
That is so
us?
exciting because we've never been to Denver, never been to Colorado. So really excited. I'm definitely going to buy some cowboy boots. It's got to be done. And we are spending 3 days in, is it the Garden of the Gods afterwards?
Mm.
Just thought we'd have a little trip out and see what there is. Um, Quite fancied doing a dude ranch, but I don't think we could do that at that time of year.
No, yeah, Denver, not much known for the cowboying more so than it is the skiing and the snow, especially when this event's happening.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cold.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be riding any horses, so that's for sure. But I'm so looking forward to it. I really am. It looks like such an amazing event, and I just want to do everything. When you look at the agenda and you look at it and you think, but I want to do that and that and that, and they're all at the same time. It's going to
I
be
know.
tough to choose.
That's the one thing I've always been like, how can we do this differently from a convention perspective where all these panels are not going on at the same time, but it's impossible. And it's also how we allow, how we're able to have so many people go to these things, right? Is because there's different places to hang out. Otherwise, we will all be crowded in one room, which would be fine if it was big enough, but not when you're anticipating 1,000 people or more, like some of these events are doing it. Yeah. You've been to other signings in the States, have you, or no?
No, this is my first ever book signing.
First ever, like ever?
Ever.
And we're popping your cherry?
You are.
Ooh.
I know. It's such a good one to do that with. I've never done one. I've never been accepted before. I have applied for a few, but this was the one that said yes. So I was really, really excited, and I can't wait to come over and meet everybody and just sort of like, because there's so many people. The other authors are just amazing. It's like a who's who, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, star-studded.
There. And so I'm really, really excited for that. And yeah, I've never been to one, so I'll be walking around in a daze, I think.
I love it when the authors are fans themselves of other authors. It's so cute.
Yeah.
And it's so sweet to see. I've had it several times. I've been fortunate to see it where an author that, just loves the readers and things like that. But when they see that other author that they have been reading for years, or they just started reading and they're fantastic, and they're like, oh my God, that's them. And I'm like, go talk to them. And they're like, no.
I know. They're famous. I can't talk to them.
Yeah, right? I'm like, I'm like, no, I can't. I'm like, really? Come on. So I tend to be that person that's like, come on, let's go. Or I'll just have them come to you. Either way works. I have no shame.
I don't think I do, actually. I'm quite happy to talk to anybody, go up to people, and I'm pretty sure that, and I'd be happy for anyone to come up to me as well. I'm a people person, I suppose. So yeah, I'm so looking forward to it.
It's gonna be fun. I think that the readers are going to love it. I guess, and the lineup is star-studded, including yourself. And
the imposter in the corner. Yeah.
No, absolutely no. Trust me, it's one of those things where these book signings can sometimes be very selective, and or there's also limited space depending on where they've had it. I'm sure that there's always been one of those. We'd love to have every single author that wants to come. There's just not enough space for y'all. There's a lot of you, which is great for us as readers. We don't complain about that.
Oh,
too many authors, you darn. How dare they be so many of them? Ugh.
I know.
Right?
Shocking.
But definitely it's gonna be a fun one. The events the panels are really interesting, many of them, and there's also so many parties, and so many yummy food stuff. We have donuts and margaritas and
donuts.
martinis and stuff like that. I'm like, I may have to start brushing up on some of my drinking.
Yes. I must admit, weirdly, it was the donuts that really excited me more than anything, which
me too. Me too. Don't worry about it. Me
really.
too. No, me too. Especially when it's those kind of donuts, the voodoo donuts. Those are always very intriguing, and they have a very creative donuts. I mean, I think they have like a frosted Fruit Loops or something like that, or Pebbles. And I'm going, it's like a kid's dream come true. Inner child of sugarness is just going, yeah. I am stepping out of my comfort zone a bit at this event by doing and seeing about discovering more different types of drinks from a martini perspective. I don't really classify myself as a martini drinker.
No, I've never had one.
See, and I think part of it is thanks to James Bond. I'm like, that's not my sort of drink, for whatever reasons. I did try once and it was just very bitter, but I think it's a type of martini that it was, as it should be in that case, because that's what the kind of that it was. But my sister for Christmas made us like a white chocolate peppermint my dessert martini of sorts. I'm like, okay,
that sounds good.
Right? It did
that
sound good.
Sounds like a dessert.
Yes, I think it was definitely could have been. Add some. She even got fancy on me and did some the candy canes, crushed them and put them on the side, on the top, almost like a margarita. I was like, girl, you're getting fancy. I love it.
Yes.
Something actually, funny enough, I have a cocktail book about martinis because I wanted to, this was prior to the event. It's something that, as a girl that usually gets a margarita when she goes out to have a drink, or Bahama Mama, I'm like, I need to diversify more. My liquor intake.
I love a cocktail, I must admit.
Yeah,
I'm not a great drinker of spirits, but I could drink cocktails all night. I really could.
What's your favorite to drink?
Oh, I'm so boring. It's a pina colada. I just love that, but it is a boring one. I do quite like, which is pretty apt, really, a porn star martini. I do like those, but I still don't know.
Martini.
A porn star martini. But do you put the prosecco in it and then drink it, or do you drink the prosecco, which is in a shot glass, first and then drink it? I still don't know. It's like the chicken and the egg. Which one comes first?
We're gonna have to talk to the authors at the event and say, hey, porn star martini, which one comes first? And they're gonna be like, wait, what? It's important. Yeah, that's definitely what I'm going to look up. Porn star martini. Prosecco. Yeah, these names sometimes that these drinks get are hilarious and all shocking as sorts. But fun. Yeah. There's a fuzzy navel, which I'm like, why would anybody want to drink that? But then again, that's peach schnapps and orange juice, so it's actually quite yummy.
They like the Sex on the Beach over here. That's always a
popular one. Yeah. Like, why would you want to have sex on the beach? It's just no. Yeah, it's not. I mean, I don't think it's quite comfortable. I mean, it's one thing to even walk on it. Hello.
Yeah. And if you're over here, most of it's pebbles, so that's really not good.
Yeah, even here in Florida, where some of our beaches can be just nice and white sand, still not just a mess. It gets everywhere, literally. So no sexting on the beaching. No, thank you.
No.
I love getting to know my guests better, and I think it's always funny to see how good of a liar you guys are, considering you write fantasy and fiction and all that fun stuff, and play the game of two truths and a lie. Do you have your three?
I do.
Right.
I do have them.
All right. So whenever you're ready, you can tell us your three things, and we will have to figure out which one's the lie.
Okay. The first one was that once I was an extra for in a movie in Mexico. The second one, I once flew a Boeing 757 over the Atlantic. And the third one is I joined the army. So two of those are true.
I know. Damn. And here's the funniest thing with you guys. I've learned that it could be totally true that you flew the 757, but not over the Atlantic. it was something else, and that's why it's a lie, right? For an example, or that's, you were a movie extra but not in Mexico, somewhere else. And so you guys get very creative with these, which is always why it's so fun to play with you guys this game. So either extra in a movie in Mexico, you flew a 757 over the Atlantic, or you joined the army, which is a lie. Damn it. Is the lie that you joined the army?
It is. If you knew me, I couldn't cope with the clothes. I just couldn't. The other two are true.
Wow. Okay. So tell us more about this whole 757 or the Atlantic flying, and as well as the being the extra. How did all that happen?
Well, the extra for the movie in Mexico, I was on holiday with a friend and we were sunbathing by the pool, and somebody came up to us and said, we're shooting a movie over there. Would you mind being in the background sunbathing? And that was it, basically. I think I just lay there sunbathing in a different place to where I was, and they were shooting some movie around us. So that one was true. I don't even know what it was. It could have been anything. It really could. And the 757 is true. And I should come clean and say I used to be a flight attendant, or cabin crew, as we call it over here. And we had an empty sector one night, and I went up into the flight deck, and the first officer popped outside. He left, and the captain said to me, "Oh, do you want to have a go?" And I thought, oh gosh, what does he mean? Have a go? What's going on? So when I finally established that it was actually to have, it's my dog, to have a go at the controls, then I thought, okay. So I sat in the first officer's seat, and he said, right, it's over to you. And it was quite bizarre. It was sort of like you could feel the movement as soon as he gave me the control. It's everything's opposite. You have to, if you want to go up, you push down. If you want to go down, you pull up. And so that was a bit bizarre. But literally, he was in control. There's no way he was letting me fly that plane. But it was just fun, something different to pass a few hours on a night flight home. So and I must stress there were no passengers on board, just crew. And it was just fun. So yeah, I can say that I have done that.
That's fantastic. I love that whole give it a go.
Yeah, do you want to have a go? Not really, no.
If that's ever a rom-com moment, I don't know what is, right?
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Or if you want to go into a thriller, that could have been the code for kidnap her right now.
Yes. You see, this is how you get your ideas. You literally have one conversation, one thing, you see something on the TV, or you hear. I had a great story with some friends of mine, and it's just too long to say about it, but I just thought, wow, I could write a book about that. That's so good. And you hear things, and it just sparks something in your mind, and you can just go off and develop a whole series out of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's fantastic and fascinating how the mind can work, and people can have these ideas. I mean, I think we're people watching, those that like people watching, or when you're at a Starbucks or a cafe and you're listening to people, because some of them just don't understand that, yes, you're having a private conversation in a public place and you're being kind of loud, and you have your phone on loud too. So I'm hearing both sides of the conversation.
Yeah. You're going to be in a book.
Yeah. And now you're going to be in a book. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's also fantastic, because I have the ideas, I have the things, but to put it down on paper and to, finish it and have it to be a fruition and put it out there is a huge risk and a huge undertaking. And I think it takes guts. And so not everybody can technically do it. And I love that when you guys are providing us with these stories.
Yeah, the minds go a little bit crazy.
It's a distraction. It's okay. It's not our everyday listen or norm or read.
I
I
don't
do
know.
know some that are they only solely read dark romance. And I'm like, are you okay?
Yes. For ages, I didn't even tell my husband I was writing it. And every time, because I do all my own covers as well, and I would be looking at all these lovely images on the screen, and he'd like come in, and I'd quickly minimize it. I was like, like, oh, nothing to see here, you know. But now he's like feeling very inadequate half the time. It's like, you want me to be like that?
Oh.
Yeah, I do.
But only in these chapters here. I've highlighted them. Go ahead, read later tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's even part of the conversation sometimes that happens within the readers is that we don't want they don't want that dark side. They don't want the asshole. They don't want the huge alpha. They want someone just to maybe not have to just, can you just figure out what we're going to do for dinner without asking me? Just put it in front of
Oh
me,
gosh,
please.
it's impossible. It isn't. There's no such man.
I
There really
know.
isn't.
Well, here's the thing. My husband is very much of yeah, great, I could do that, but I actually want you to be happy with what you're eating. And so it becomes this whole thing of them being nurturing and kind, and you're going, God damn it, really? I don't
Yeah.
care.
Oh,
I've been making decisions all day fucking long. I don't want to know about or think about what I'm going to, eat for dinner. You know what I like, just put it in front of me. And he goes, but
yeah.
then I run the risk of doing that. And you're like, no, I don't like that. Or no, I don't want that. I'm like, oh, you're right. Okay, fine, whatever.
Oh no, it's always the same. Oh, why
Yeah.
have we got that? Because no one told me what they wanted.
Yeah.
This is what we've got. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if that's one thing I could just live without is figuring out what to do for dinner.
Oh, it's so boring.
I know. No, it's just there's so much to know. It's like not one more decision, thank you. It's quite all right. And I don't care. Just pizza. That's my go-to. Cereal or
Yeah,
pizza. So
I love pizza.
yeah. And do you have a favorite?
Oh, I'm so boring. I really am. It's always margarita with fresh tomatoes, ham. That's about it, really.
Interesting how you find that so boring. And we're going, well, that's actually kind of refreshing. Usually, like I'm the traditional. I like pepperoni with extra cheese. That's kind of boring.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm going, ooh, margarita with some basil on top of it. Nice.
Oh yes, I do
See?
love that. I
Yeah.
do love that.
You did mention before that you're not much of a cursor. And so
No.
I preface that with for the following questions is a two parts. Because you are always working with words, do you have a favorite word that is yours that is not a curse word? Because that's the second part of like, what's your favorite curse word? So what's
A
your favorite
favorite
word?
word.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I do like I love my cursing words in my books. I love them. In fact, I put them in far too much because I'm enjoying writing them so much. No, I love words. I love finding different words and for using I don't like to use the same thing. It's like if someone points something out in a book, they say you use that word a lot. I never use it again. It's like a mental block on me. I think, oh no, I can't ever use that again. So I just don't know. I like descriptive words. Um, but as for a favorite one, no, because I would use it all the time and then it would become repetitive and then I wouldn't be able to use it ever again because someone would tell me.
All right. So we'll pocket that for later. Maybe at Denver. I'm like,
Yeah,
so do you have a
sorry,
favorite
that's
one for? No,
not
that's
really
fine. No, trust me.
answering the question,
You're
but
good. It's good. No worries. I need to figure out maybe for you, be like, what's your favorite word for today? Might be a better one for when we're at Denver. But I am curious to know
word of the day.
yeah, right. What is your favorite curse word?
Oh, it's the F word for me. I just use it all the time.
He doesn't even say it though. It's so
I
cute.
don't. I can't say it. It's so crazy. It really is. And yeah, I'll write it till the cows come home. It's back to that erotica podcast, isn't it? You got to say the words and make them normal. I think it goes back to when I was young. And my mom used to say, "There's more than enough words in the English language that you don't have to use a swear word. And I suppose I always had that in my mind, and I never did. And occasionally I do. If something happens and I say, oh fuck, I will say that. And I do say bloody a lot, and that's a British thing. Oh, bloody hell, all of that. I do say that. I don't really use the C word ever, even in my books. I never use that. I just don't like it. But yeah, I don't really use wanker in my British books either. I don't really use that. But no, it's the F word for me.
You're so darn cute and adorable. No, my mom was very the same as far as not cursing. I never heard her curse. She can make you feel very tiny, and insult you in a way that was very intellectually and make you feel very tiny without saying one curse word at all. And that's truly, I think, a gift. But for me, I can use fuck as a verb, adjective, and a noun. But I did learn to only use it in particular, like not to overuse it, because it can take away some of the emphasis. But there are certain words that if I'm saying them, that means I'm really pissed off, or like, damn, like kind of like what you were saying, that it's just one of those things where like,
it just comes out. I do use it, definitely. My husband uses it all the time. Oh my goodness, every other word, I think. He's the Gordon Ramsay of this house.
Oh, that's fantastic.
He uses it an awful lot, but no, I don't really. I think because I'm quite chilled, I don't really lose my temper much, so I don't need to say it.
Yeah, it's cute. No, I like it. I think it's one of those. I think what we also think from a British perspective is that that's not prim and proper. So I think we have this kind of thing, and I'm like, no, most of the British people I know can swear up a.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Yeah, I think the prim and proper thing is gone.
Yeah, at least for that one. Yeah, now it's one of those like, okay, are you emotionally not there with most of things? Are you just being very standoffish, or is just that a British thing right now, kind of a thing? I think that's where sometimes
British
I lay.
people swear like troopers. They really do.
Yeah, see.
They definitely do. And my family, like I said, they all come from London originally, all from the East End, and they swear every other word, more or less. I don't know. I think because we moved out of London when I was very young, and my mum never swore, and I think that's probably why. Actually, my dad never swore when we were at home growing up. So it wasn't really anything that I was used to, but my husband's making up for that.
I've always told the my niece and kids and stuff like that. I always said, I go, listen, because I tried not cursing in front of my son when he was younger, and it got very, very awkward and weird. And I was going, sugar bomb and baloney, and it was one of those where it was really like stopping me from being able to express myself in some cases, but also like figuring out what word to swap it out to at the time. But I'm also going, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, he's gonna hear worse at school and in the wrong context and in the wrong usage of it. And so I'm like, I might as well just teach him. So
and he would do it.
He has.
Yeah.
He does not curse in front of us at all, which is great. I think that's a parent win for me. But sometimes I am shocked when I see a text and he's I'm like, oh, okay, good. You do know how to use it properly. All right. Another parent.
Well, my daughter does. She will.
Yeah.
She doesn't care. But that generation, I think they just do. It's like another word in the English dictionary that's acceptable. So
yeah. Sometimes, yeah, but I think it's always fun to kind of like, I like knowing which ones are the favorites for people.
Yeah.
And also gets to know you better. I think one of those, like, now you know that I will throw fuck some, here and there, use it as a noun, a verb, and anything. But if you hear another curse word coming out of me that's not a usual, you're like, oh, what happened there? There's a story. I think I'm gonna have to take her out for a drink, maybe martini, and find out why.
And don't make me use that curse word that you won't want to hear.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be one of
You'll
those.
know
Like,
I'm really mad.
yep, exactly. I'll read one of your books later on and I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah.
Oh yeah. She
There it
swears
is.
like a trooper too.
Yeah, that curse word that I use comes up like, ah, she liked it. All right. Before we go, can you tell us what's coming up next for you? And what what's coming up next and what you're planning on working on?
Yes, I've just finished the first of a new trilogy, another Mafia series. It's called Ortega Mafia, and this is the Enforcer that's coming out on Sunday. So that's my new series, and there'll be 3 of those, possibly more, but at the moment there'll be just 3. And then I really do get asked a lot to write. One of my main series is an MC series, the Twisted Reapers, and they're all ex special forces that basically it's just they're not how they're portrayed. They're not really bikers. They work for the government, and so they get involved in a lot of my books, and people love them because they're honourable. They're sort of rough diamonds, really. And so, yeah, I need to do another one of those. And I need to finish my Brutally British one off. I need to get Charlie his book. So that needs to happen. But yeah, I have been asked a lot for another Reaper romance. So I'll do that. And yeah, I'll just see where this one goes. And it might turn into more than 3. But I'm loving it. It's got those dark characters in that are, because I like books that have a story within a story, and this has a story within a story. Wow. And it's dark. It really is. So
probably a little bit apologetic, like, it's dark, it's okay though.
It's fine.
I will say I've read other books where it's that whole like you were saying that they're not real motorcycle gang or anything. They're actually special forces or specialists of sorts, and they're like, oh, okay. I think it's always fun to kind of be like, you're the bad boy but you're actually really good. Okay.
Yeah. And that's what they are. And people love them because they are rough and they're ready, and they're just honorable though, and they're sort of like the ones that come in and that shoot the bad guys, that sort of thing. And it's a series that I started with and I won't end doing. It's always going to be on the go, so I can just dip in and out and add another story to it. So that's on the cards this year as well. But yeah, no, just keep going, keep doing my Mafia books. I've also, in my 5 Kings series, that was not all Mafia, it was a lot of business as well. And so I sort of, it's that billionaire romance thing, isn't it? I might do a little sort of like, I know, another series to do with that. Not necessarily Mafia, but they're going to be dark. I mean, it's just you. Whatever happens, it'll be dark.
And that's great. I know there are people are like, I don't care what she writes. It's dark. It's great. It's her. It's Stella's book. We love it.
Yeah. And they want the darkness. I think you shouldn't like it, and you wouldn't want it personally. You'd freak out, wouldn't you, if it ever happened to you? But it's a bit of escapism, I think. It's something that it's something that would never happen to you. But to read about it is intriguing, I think. And I think that's why I do it. It's just exciting.
Yeah, I do find it fascinating though that a few years ago used to be escapism, go into a fantasy, wield swords and fly and dragons, oh my, and now it's like, yeah, daddy, okay.
Yeah.
And he's a mafia guy and he's about to kidnap me, and that's exactly what I want. Okay.
Oh yeah, just hang around this street corner in the hope that happens today.
Right? And like, I will always say that as an example, like I was the office intern. None of my bosses were ever rich or that good looking or interested. So no.
It's like I saw on the news the other day, they had arrested this mafia don in Italy. They've been after him for 30 years. There was celebrations in the street that they'd got him. And I looked at the picture and he was nothing like my mafia dons. I'm sorry, but he deserved to be arrested.
Yeah, right. He's okay. That's not the kind of don that we want. Yep, got it.
No, we don't want him. We want the alpha males, don't we? The dark good looks and the glittering eyes. And
well, it's the same thing with the firefighters. I have my brother-in-law, both of them were firefighters in Texas. I will say that the Texas boys are a different breed. A lot of them are really good looking, but a lot of them are when I'm like, this is not what romance firefighters look like.
Yeah.
Love you guys, but no.
That's so wrong, isn't it? They should only be selected.
Yeah.
If
right.
they pass the grade.
Yeah, I'm like, you're not gonna get picked for that calendar this year, are you, love? Okay. But that's okay. Yeah, it's one of those where that's not how that my internship turned out. Quite all right.
And that's why I think people like to read about it, because it's actually pure fantasy.
Yeah. But again, it used to be, we used to drive into the whole fantasy side of things of like, mythical places and dragons and shifters, even
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I love Harry Potter. I've read them all. I just love it.
And now it's just a darker side of Harry Potter. Where they're not magical schools or wands, they're just billionaires and mafia man.
Yeah. I said to my husband, I think we should go to Sicily one day. He said, only because you want to find one of these mafia guys. That's all you want.
He knows you so well.
Bit of truth in that.
They do have great food. So, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons, but that may also be one of them, right?
Yes.
You never know. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for Stella, for taking the time to chat with me today. It's been fun getting to know you, and I cannot wait to meet you in person in Denver. So thank you for the time. Oh,
thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's been lovely. Thank you.
I will be including all of your social media links and information where readers and listeners can find you if they have not are not following you already over at Viviana, Enchantress of Books. And until next time, everyone, happy listenings.
Thank you to all of our Audiobook Lovin Podcast Patreon. Special thanks to Nixley Zenner, Carol Liebner, Brittany Robinette Leiter, Dawn Darch, Michelle Bastard, Brandy Schmidt, April Branson. The Audiobook Lovin Podcast has special Patreon access levels. Join today to receive benefits including early access to episodes, shoutouts, special exclusive content, and much more. Support the podcast by becoming a Patreon at www.patreon.com/audiobooklovin. We thank you for your support.
Thank you for joining us on the Audiobook Lovin Podcast, hosted by Viviana, Enchantress of Books. For links and more information discussed in today's episode, previous podcasts, or the Audiobook Lovin Series, please visit our website, vivianaenchantressofbooks.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a positive review wherever you listen to our podcast. Until next time, happy listening.